Hey, people. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I hope I don't look too bad. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is Spirit Journey, all right. Good morning. Good morning, people. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I was up now for maybe like a half an hour. Oh, yeah, yeah, this is Spirit Journey. Yes, good morning here in Rwanda. Yeah, I'm in my living room. Yeah, I fell asleep outside. Out in the living room. Yeah, my monitors are over there. Oh, yeah, I was sleeping. I was dreaming. Yeah, today is Thursday morning, early Thursday morning, February 27th already, 2025, and the time is now, looks like almost 4:30, 4:25 a.m. Wow, that's all I can say. That's all I can say. Wow. Yeah, I just felt led to do another live stream. And wow, I just feel like talking right now. Yeah, please forgive my parents. I know I don't look the greatest. Yeah, who does when they're just waking up? I just feel like to, I just want to talk. I had another repeating dream. Well, the theme of the dream is repeating. When I was younger, I used to have these tension filled, well, anxiety filled dreams. Um, I was either run away from something or I would, oh, what do you call it? Like I would be in an office building and, or some facility and I'm lost. Or I'm going somewhere and then in the process of going to another location, um, I get misdirected. I get lost and how to get back. That's in essence what this dream seemed to be all about. And why I share it is because it shows that sometimes time doesn't change anything. The distancing of things does not change what's happening inside of you. But I am surprised that I had it because I'm not living in America anymore. I'm not living. I'm not living in New York City. I'm in Rwanda in Central East Africa, and I live in an area. It's the immediate area is very suburby, and then you have the rural, areas around it, and it's a great location for me. So I get to see all types of people, situations, and it's close enough to get my major shopping done. And if things are too far, I can take the mobile. But I don't know what triggered this dream. Yeah, I don't know what triggered it, but I had the dream, and I want to share it with you what I could remember. Yeah, so some of you are going to see my eyes wander over there. I'm in deep thought still, trying to process the dream. Um, what I remember of it is that I was in an office building. And like in New York City, there are big, what they call skyscrapers. And evidently this was one, it looked like a big space, workspace. Very reminiscent of the big office building in Manhattan where I worked and where I went to school. And there were a lot of people around. There were a lot of people around. Okay. Yeah, there were a lot of people around. Um, I don't really know who these people are, but I knew them. I felt I knew them. And all types of people. Like New York City, it is a blend of many ethnic groups, racial groups, all types of people. And that aspect I always liked about New York. What else? Yeah, they were just it was just packed with people, and they had a lot of energy there. And I'm just like observing the faces and who are these people? And I think there was a person from a job I used to work at in the 1990s. Yeah. Um, and she was younger than me, I remember. Yeah, she was actually like younger. And I say it like that. Yeah, because I also want to discuss. And I think I wonder if this is also what you experience. Like, um, I was always like I'm the youngest in my family. Uh, my very first job, I worked for the city of New York. Um, yeah, I got the job from a family friend's niece, and she puts my unknowns. But I thank this person if she's still alive now. Thank you. Thank you for the job. Yeah, you had some blacks back then who had the policy to hire people. So, yeah, and she had put my name on a list to get a job there. And yeah, I was told by my father, oh, you start a new job, such and such, you have to go such and such place. So, yeah, I was 17 at the time, don't know my you know what from my elbow, and I just followed orders. Yeah, it's something. Yeah, I never, yeah, so I had a job in the city. I lived in Queens, and the job was in Manhattan, and I remember, oh, how did, sure. So they had to tell me how to train to get there. Um, yeah, they had a different location then. Um, the building was at Central Park South somewhere, and that area is kind of like iffy. Um, I think it's in the 20 something street, it's something like that. And I was there for 3 days because they were moving to the village. Uh, I remember that address. That was 770 Broadway. And it's in between, oh, there was 8th, it was right on the corner of 8th Street and Broadway. Yeah, there's a heart of the village, boy. The East Village. Yeah, it was a real, it had a lot of character, if you know what I mean. It had a lot of everything. Yeah, kind of seedy. And then more towards the west gets a more um more fluffy, more money. The everywhere I was, Broadway, I remember they had prostitutes there. But like a block to the east is a very prestigious college, Cooper Union, for engineering. Yeah, and so it was in the heart of everything, but it was kind of spooky back then. Um, so either way, yeah. So um, I mean, a lot of the dreams that I would get is very reminiscent of that location, the location on 770 Broadway. Um, yeah, I was there for the first 2 years of my new adult life. Yeah, so a lot of the dreams really focus in that office space, or at least it looks reminiscent of it. It's a big space. I think the building was 12 stories, um, and we were on the top floor. We had the whole entire floor, and so a lot of the dreams that I have is me walking around in that workspace, or what looks like that workspace. And I was always like lost. So, oh, I have to go to this location, that location, and build them. Well, the same thing with the dream that I had today. Yeah. So I'm I'm in a space, and I think I was seated at a big table. It was some room, it had tables and packed with people. And I think one of them was this lady that I used to work with. Um, Oh yeah, the lady that says who's about like 5 years younger than me at that time. Yeah, I was when I worked with her, I was 30, she was 25. Oh yeah, I remember the reason why I mentioned about the age, because my very first job at 770 Broadway, I was 17, so I was one of the younger people, and everybody was older than me. And I remember how I felt like everything, like I'm the youngest in the family, I was the youngest with this job. But when I got to the job, it was like a shock, a culture shock. Um, I had left New York at one time, in the when I was in the military in the late '80s and early '90s. I was away from New York City, and again, I was still considered the younger. When you're the youngest person there, or one of the ones, you have the more senior people, people who would be retiring in a few years, very seasoned people. And I remember, um, like overseas, that I was almost like the house pet. It was weird. It was different. Like I was very quiet back then, and yeah, I remember how I felt. I was in my zone. Yeah, the working in the Caribbean. Uh, yeah, I was like one of the younger ones, and people were very eager to share with me the culture of the people, the foods, the folk medicine. It was really interesting, and I felt relatively safe. But things change. If it's spirit journey, you know that things changed. Um, yeah, I eventually was came back to the U.S. mainland from the Caribbean. Yeah, I know I lived all over. But when I came back, things changed, and I was working in um, this company, this advertising company that someone helped me get. Someone who knew someone that they needed extra help, and um, the process took about a month to get in. It seemed like an eternity then. Um, and this one lady was there, and it was like a culture shock. I was now at the age of 30, I was going on 31. I was now one of the older people, and it felt weird. So to come from one environment and you treat it one way, you almost like the class pet, and then you go in another location, and overnight it switches on you. Yeah, so I guess why I'm sharing that, I've shared it before, that life can change and the dynamics of an environment could change overnight, and you have to adjust. It can make you or break you. Yeah, I think it broke me. But either way, it happened. Like I was now one of the older people. I was now for the first time older than my boss. Yeah, my immediate boss. But my boss's boss was older than me. She was like 10 years older than me. But it felt weird. So the pool of the people there at the workspace in advertising, everybody was in their early, like mid to early 20s. And I didn't, I felt uncomfortable. But this lady was there. I remember her face. It looked like her. She was very nice, actually. But I felt awkward at the workspace. And a lot of it was my ego. Yeah, ego can come into play. Even spirit has an ego. Um, yeah. And so I remember in the dream I had this morning, I remember seeing her face. And she didn't really, she was just there of many faces. It's like a dream of many different faces, people just just being busy. It was a busy atmosphere, busy energy. And I'm like looking around and trying to make sense of everything where I was. Yeah, So I remember at one point because I'm thinking in my mind, something in my dreams, I'm thinking, and I'm thinking about what I'm seeing, what it reminds me of. I said, hey, this seems like this job that I had. And I said, I'll just get up. I just want to get something. That was my that was my mistake. Yeah, because I'm at a chair at a table, but I just wanted to do something. And I remember getting up. Um, I think I go in a cafeteria. Um, and that's where the journey begins, man. Yeah, I felt like the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy. You know, she just went outside to get her dog or something like that, and a tornado happens, and she's on this journey, trying to make sense of everything. But she knew she needed to get back home, and that's how I felt. I just wanted to get back to what was familiar, and I felt lost. Yes, and that big theme. And even at the age of 62, I felt lost. That feeling, and surprised that it didn't change. Wondering how to resolve these issues, these dreams that repeat on you, people. The same theme, and I'm wondering, what is it that um, I'm to go home to? That's a big question. I'm 62. I'm retired. I do what I pretty much feel like doing. What's really the issue? And I think this is the key question to ask myself. Anyone should ask themselves if they have dreams like this. Um, so I remember one point I got in this big cafeteria. I used to have to work. Yeah, the cafeteria looked very familiar. It was real busy, and it looked very high end, like they're cafeterias, and then they are cafeterias. Oh, I remember at one point, I may be jumping around, but basically, this is what I dreamt. I remember at one point, I was thinking, yeah, I've worked in a place like this. Everything reminded me of something else. It was packed, this cafeteria of different types of, how would you call it, stations? Food, well, like they had like specialties. Okay, this section in the cafeteria, you can buy, let's say, pizza. This area you can get hamburgers and fries, or all different types of ethnic foods. Yeah, um, interesting. I do like food. I really love food. I love variety. And what's coming to my mind now is that I think now, like sometimes when I'm relaying these dreams, sometimes the meaning starts to come to me as I'm talking it out. That's also why I'm talking out, because I'm trying to find meaning, what it means. What's hitting me now, inside what's hitting me now is um, life is presenting to you variety. And yeah, and again, I do like food, people. I like good food. Um, and it's like all over, and it's very plush. I remember the chrome, the gold color chrome. It just really looked nice. The kitchen is packed with people, and work is there. Yeah, I worked in a cafeteria. Um, something I know I did. Well, in the military, kitchen duty, and I used to work at a resort, and you had the resort that you were just your own station, and you had to make the food and you had to do the cleanup. Wow. Wow, it's hard work, people. Food work is hard work. Yeah, even in the military too. The military also, kitchen duty. If you didn't have your crow, so your ranking, uh, you have to do kitchen duty if no one else, it's all by rank. So the people on the bottom, you get to do kitchen duty. But even if you do have your crow, if nobody else can fill in, the next person available is to do it. And if they have the crow, you got to do it. So that's what that is. But yeah, so I'm familiar with um, kitchens, spaces like that. You know, by seeing it, at least feels very familiar. But again, it's just packed with people, busy, busy, busy. And I remember at one point I said, "Oh, um, let me just, try to get familiar with this." Everything looked familiar. Then I think somehow um, I was put in a new location. I think I went in an elevator at one point. Yeah, I think I went in an elevator, and I think an elevator represents a portal. And then when I come out, I'm in a new environment. Um, I think I was outside. Wait a minute. Either I was in an elevator or I enter a train, but um, both of them to me in the dream, it seemed like a portal that it was to transport me from one place to another. And I remember when I got out, either it was a train, I think it was the subway. Yeah, I was in a subway. I know the dream did bounce around a lot. Um, yeah, even that subway was very, very busy, busy, busy. A lot of people, a lot of energy. And I remember when I got out to the surface from the subway, when I looked around, I said, I saw the street sign. It said, I think it was 20 something. I said, how did I get down here? I just wanted to like go one block or something, and I wind up all the way down here. Boy, that means I have to walk back up. Yeah, it seemed like I knew the location or the area where I had to go to. Um, I don't remember now what street, but brother, yeah, this was I got up too far down. So I'm wondering, yeah, why that happened. So I guess I'm trying to pace myself that, okay, if I go in that train or the elevator, I just wanted like a little increment, but it just went far over. And now I have to go back. Oh, it sounds familiar. Yeah, this kind of sounds familiar. It seems like you are, you just want to just go over here. There. Yeah, I think it's what's speaking to me now is you want to try to pace yourself. You just try to reorient yourself, but you overdid it. I wonder, is the dream trying to tell me, did I do it by coming here? Very good question. Wow. That's what's popping in my head. And did I overshoot it again? I don't think so. At least I don't think I'm overshooting coming to Rwanda. I know on the surface, many people would say, boy, Spirit, you really overshot it coming here to Rwanda. Um, I don't I don't feel that I I didn't know what New York has to offer me now. I'm in New York City. They have 24/7 shopping. I mean, you can buy anything in the city. And with Amazon, it's 24/7 shopping. Yeah, yeah. And again, the dynamics has changed in New York City. Again, I've been away now, let's see, 12, 13, almost going on 14 months. Yeah, I can't believe it. Um, things changed in New York City. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go back there. The dynamics, like, yeah, each time, like when I leave, and then when I want to go back to so-called home, it changed. Um, yeah, when you get off the line And you say, okay, I'll go back on the line, and start or, continue where the line is going. Well, sometimes, oftentimes, when you leave your spot, you get off the line, you think it's going to be that easy. Just go back on the line. Well, that line might move to a new location. And that location is different from what you're used to. It changed and it doesn't fit you either. And that is a big theme that but I learned that when you get off the line, that line changes just as you change, and you may not fit in that new location. You don't go back on the line thinking you're going to go back on the line at position 1 or 2. It might have moved the line to position 10, 11, 12, 13, on and on. And you have to, where are you? Where do you fit in on that line that you may not fit? So I know for me, um, I don't want to go back on that line. Um, I, yeah, I love New York City, but I don't love. Hey, hi, viewer, hi. Yeah, I'm just reminiscing, and I'm relaying a dream that I had. Um, when you move and the dynamics change. Yeah, big time, big time. Yeah, that dynamics changed a lot, people. Um, yeah, I'm not. When I left New York City and America, I have the intention. I don't want to go back. For me, I want to explore, but at the same time, I wanted a sense of stability. Um, I think humans are a creature of habit. We really, some of us would like going on vacations, but when you're on vacation, you always go back to your house. You go away for a little bit and you come back to your familiar environment. For me, I want to establish a new home, a permanent home. But hey, I still would like to travel. Yeah. At least in 2022, I wanted to move to Africa slash Rwanda, but I wanted to visit every country in Africa. That's what I said to myself in 22. I didn't go in 2022, but I went in 2023, about 14 months, no, 13 months after the fact. Yeah. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, about 13 months later, I did move in 2023, the end of 2023, December, early December. Um, Yeah, but when I left that time in 2023, I didn't have as strong of desire to say I want to visit every country. Now, how I feel being on the continent, um, I want to go to a few of the countries, maybe 4 countries I want to go to. Um, I want to go to, yeah, I told you about Morocco. Yeah, Morocco seems to have all that food, but even now, my feelings about Morocco, it's changing. I guess as more information about again, I'm not here to poo-poo anybody's country. I'm not here to poo-poo anybody. Um, but my understanding about certain locations and my having a little dog, I'm not sure whether be the best. Um, and again, certain locations and how they may treat women is a concern for me. I mean, we kind of all kind of know how certain places may or may not treat certain people. But now, again, see, people, it's all right to change your mind about something. Yeah, when I do these live streams, when I talk about different locations and dreams that I have, um, is to let people know, hey, it's okay to change your mind. We're creatures of habit, but we also create change too. So I'm letting people know, hey, you may have had the desire to visit every country in Africa or every country wherever, but you can change your mind. Okay. So I had wanted to go to Morocco, but my feelings about it are changing. I like food. Again, I'm attracted to variety and foods, things like that. In Morocco, God for the variety. I've never been there, but you see pictures, videos of it, and they like their food there too. Excuse me. Sorry, my nose is itching. Um, the other country I want to go, I would like to visit. I would like to visit some of the West African countries because that's where my African genetics lie, actually. Not Central Africa, but West Africa, like many blacks in the Americas. We come from West Africa. And I got my DNA checked, and it's all, there's no surprise, really. West Africa and Western Europe primarily. So, embrace your genetics, embrace all your genetics, you are who you are. And everybody's genetics has a history. And I'm going to talk a bit about that a little later on by genetics and history regarding another matter that I want to talk about the what they call the Black Indians. I remind me if I get off to, if I forget to talk about that, but I will. I want to talk the so-called Black Indians or the Black Caribs. I want to talk a little about that, and the theme is really whatever what you are, enjoy your genetics and your history. So back to the dream now. So um, I had gone into a subway or an elevator or even both of them in the dream. Again, the dream was all over the place. It's the same thing. I get off one place, I enter another place, I'm kind of looking around, and masses of people. Um, yeah, this was a typical New York City place of peoples of all over. These people were relatively young. These people they looked like from, I would say, 20s to 40s, that age, the age grouping. Uh, and I remember, like I would go into one of the subways or elevators, and I get in a new location, and I thought, my God, how do we get back? I shot it. So I remember I started walking in. And then I remember, I think I somehow wound up in a new location, and I'm back in that office building where I started out in. And I was trying to see anyone that I recognize that, hey, my boss is going to start wondering where I am. And yeah, because I have to like, because again, this dream is reminding me of my very first job. And you had to clock in. It was a government job. And you have a time, what's called a time card. And you have to clock in, right? I said, oh, um, yeah, actually, I didn't clock in or out. Somehow I just got there. And but I'm thinking in my mind, my head, I said, wow, did I clock in? And my boss is probably wondering where I am, and you know, um, I'm having an extended lunch hour, I guess. But I hope I don't get in trouble. All these things are popping in my head. So, so I think I kind of saw someone that kind of looked familiar, and I'm following them. And I think I wind up back at the cafeteria. And again, you know that I like food. Get a fancy, fancy, big, 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 big cafeteria, and the selections they had. And people. Wow, it's really weird. I wind up. Yeah, very really do this, people. But because I was warned in dreams when we dream about food that it could be a trick. Yeah, it could be a trick, people. Oh, for the thumbs up. It could be a trick. And they tell you, well, I've heard the talk that if you're in a dream, do not eat any of the food. It could be a trick. But I believe I did eat. Yeah, I like. Yeah, I remember looking down and it was a display of these these finger food sandwiches. God, let's think about it. It was so good. It looked so good. Yeah. Yeah, they had like these lights, like these cafeterias. They had these high-end cafeterias. They had these type of, I think they're called halogen lights, and they make everything look better. They even make people look better too. And I remember the light was shining on the food. And I remember I picked one up. It looked like some type of grilled sandwich. It was kind of thin, real thin, and it had a nice toasted brown on it and cheese. Oh God, this is it looked so good. And I'm pretty sure I was eating it. I'm pretty sure of it, people. I'm pretty sure. And I was partaking in it. Um, yeah, they say don't eat the food. Yet some dreams I've had, again, with food, um, I believe some of the thing was a trick. Um, they want, because it wants the thing inside of you, the food. Um, it could be, I mean, I know this sounds wild. Again, this is just what people have said about dreams and eating food. Because see, um, that the dream world is a different dimension, and they want to entrap you to do certain things because they want to connect with you. And it's not always for your best interest. They could present to you even people. They could present, like, let's say in real life, maybe you had a crush on this dude or something like that. And they'll create in your dream world um, people that maybe you had a crush on growing up or something. And they want to try to get you in a particular um, intimate situation. because, but it's not the real person. They try to make the person look like someone you knew that you might have liked or something like that. Someone, something. Is to entrap you. And then, but in your mind, sometimes in your mind you say, "Hey, that's not really that doesn't look exactly like so and so, but it kind of looks like him." And they try to do that to entrap you. Yeah, they want they. I mean, I know this sounds bizarre to maybe some of you people, but some of you know what it is with the dream world. The dream world is about different portals that you can transport in the dream to different locations, and you can partake in certain activities, and they try to trick you to do certain things. They try to trick you like they might know that you like to eat certain types of food, and they have it there, and they want you to partake in it. Or if it's a person that you maybe had a crush on, they put, yeah. So I remember eating the sandwich and how I enjoyed the sandwich. I was, and then the next thing, I I think I'm back. Yeah, I wound up back in the office space. Yeah, yeah, each time it's like, oh, I want to get back on to, because my boss is probably looking for me. I don't know who my boss was. But in the dream, it's like like this was where I lived or stay. It's like a classroom. It reminded me of a classroom, like many dreams I used to have when I was young, that you're in this big classroom or something, and you leave the classroom and then you get lost coming back. It's the same theme, but so this dream themed around a job, rather than a school. And whether my boss would be looking for me. Um, Now I have a big gap in when I arrived and then I left, and now coming back could be several hours later. And so I had a little anxiety about that. So, oh, I hope I don't get in trouble. I just wanted to just leave and get something to eat or something, and then to come back. Yeah, and so that's in essence what it was. But the dream was more about emotions that I felt, and that the people in the dream were people, some of them like people that I worked for, and just other typical New Yorkers there. Um, and I don't think anyone talked to me per se. Yeah, no, I was just more taking up space, I felt. I was just there. And I was trying to navigate where I was. And I didn't even know what type of work I was doing, but I felt that this was an environment that was familiar. But again, I don't know why I'm there. I just says, okay, this is a workspace. It kind of looks familiar. It kind of sort of looks like my first job, um, 45 years ago. Yeah, people. Wow, it was a weird feeling. Yeah, everything was about that things look familiar and that it can take you from one place to another, and how I felt being around these people, and the familiarity, and again, desire. And the desire was in the form of food, the variety of food. So, so I'm wondering, okay, so what are the meanings of this? What is this? What is behind this? Um, yeah, it just seemed like to me like there's a space there, space environment in the dream world, and I think these dream worlds are to um, it's challenging you, not challenging, but it's representing itself certain issues. So I'm wondering, okay, what issue is this? Okay, so old workspace and leaving and then coming back. And again, it's like, why am I here? Why am I at this space? I don't know. And and no answers. Excuse me. Excuse me. So I am wondering, people, what are your thoughts? Have you had dreams that you're back, say you're middle age, like you're in your 50s, 60s, retirement age? Do you too have dreams about maybe a school that you used to go to, or an old job, and you're navigating it, um, and you get lost? So um, I wonder why at this stage of my life, why I'm still feeling. Yeah, that's why sometimes I don't like traveling. I don't like, I know it sounds bizarre. Here I travel away to Africa, never been here when I arrived. But yeah, some things I'm not afraid to do. A lot of things that I don't like, you know, I get anxiety about travel. I don't like it. I don't like even still, just thinking about it. Yeah, some things I just don't want to, go into. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But if I feel I'm in control of something and specifically going to a place, then it doesn't bother me. But for me to go and travel in the US, I don't want to do. I just have this anxiety about it. I don't understand it, but I don't have the I don't have the anxiety here. Even though I didn't know any of these people and situations, but I just feel, I guess back home in America, I didn't feel safe. I didn't, and especially now that things happening. I mean, we have a new, Trump is back in office, but you notice now with Trump, people now. I like Trump. I like President Trump, but I do not trust the people around him. I do not trust them. I do not. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say with that. I don't. I sense something happening. And I also left the States because I knew, and I feel strongly in my bones that something big is going to happen in America and back in New York. I just didn't want to risk it, people. Um, I'm glad I left, but I'm not glad that it hurt my fur babies coming here. That I regret. I didn't see that coming, people. See again, um, you can make all the plans that you want in life, but everything has something connected to it. Everything. You might meet that perfect guy, right? But you, Lavin, what are you doing? Lavin, Lavender, my little doggy. What are you doing over there? Hey, Lavender, Lavin. I don't know why he's standing. Oh, come back to you, okay? I don't know why you walked over there. Come here, baby. Lavi, come, come. He's just staring at me. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I have to still keep an eye on my dog. Yeah, people, just because, yeah, follow your instinct, people, and things could change. And I felt it in my, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I felt very strongly that there's a transition happening in America and the globe, the entire world. And I'm sorry. Let me get something. My, I'm sorry. Sorry about. Sorry about that. That's my African teammate. Yeah. So I feel very strongly that like I was facing anxiety. It was like a standstill happening to me in New York City before I left, like in 23, that whole year, first part of the year. I felt like I was just going around in circle, and I felt something was going to happen. Um, and it happened. They tried to steal my dog. Yeah, my little lavender. They tried to steal him in broad daylight, and that's what was the trigger. And it's ironic. My girls, my fur girls, my baby girls, they passed away, as many of you know, last year in January, um, shortly upon arriving. But yeah, but Lavender, he was the younger, the three dogs I had, and he's still around. Yeah, I think he's looking for something. I don't know what he's looking for. But either way, I feel very strongly, people. Yeah, I felt that something big was going to happen in New York. Um, things were happening, and yeah, it was a mess with the migrant situation because I lived in Midtown where all those people were, and the crime was unbelievable. I felt I didn't want to get stuck. I felt that something big, and I think something big could still happen in New York City. Right now, I heard that the migrant centers in New York City would be closing, like the Roosevelt Hotel um, will be shut down, but the other hotels. I had lived a block and a half away from one of the I forget Milford. It used to be called the Milford Plaza. It was between 44 and 45th Street on 8th Avenue. Yeah, they housed. Good. Hey, my little doggy, come here. You want to get on camera? Uh, hey, come here. You see him? You see him? Oh, you can hardly see him. That's him right there. That's him. You can hardly see him because it's dark. Mm. Yeah, it's dark below. Yeah. Good boy. I know you're looking for something. Yeah, your breakfast won't be in a couple more hours. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel something big is going to happen in New York City. And I knew it wasn't going to change, turn back to its old self. It's too much change has happened. And I'm changed also. Everybody's growing up. Everybody is also changing and going into their new phase of life. I know of people who just retired, you know. So yeah, it's everybody is facing this change, this transition, but I didn't want to make the transition there in New York City. I wanted to empower myself. See, some things you cannot change. I could not change the environment happening in New York City or anywhere in America. I said, if I'm forced to do something, do something that you have some control over. So that was my thinking. And so um, I said, hey, I want to move out the country. I wanted to start all over again somewhere. Um, See, I was willing, excuse me, sorry, people. I was willing to be the foreigner, now I don't consider myself an immigrant. I know that sounds funny, you know, but I'm a retiree, you know. I'm a retiree. That means, I'm not here to um, take a job away from somebody. I'm not on the food line begging for food. I don't have an anchor baby, you know. I know that might sound insensitive to some people, but I'm being real. You have people who could add in a situation, and then you have people who take away the resources. And that's what was happening in New York City. Everybody basically in New York City is someone from somewhere else. Very few people that I've met growing up were actually from New York like myself. I was born and raised there. My parents were born and raised there. And again, nothing wrong being from wherever place you're from. I'm not trying to imply that. Um, but the dynamics of migration has changed and it was weaponized. That's what I'm getting at, the weaponization of people being allowed in mass numbers, and it was designed to overthrow and destroy the city. And I didn't want that. I felt I was trapped, and I said, I better leave now. So I did leave, and so yeah. So now, if I have to choose something, hey, choose a place where to be immigrant, but you choose who you want to be around. Rather than in America, you can't choose who's going to live around you, but I had the power to choose who I want to live around here. In Rwanda. So now I chose to be an immigrant here as a retiree, and I placed myself in a location. And it's basically working out. Many aspects are working out, but there's a lot of things behind the scenes, people. I'm not going to imply, oh, everything's rosy. There are a lot of things happening this week. If it rains, it's going to pour, this whole week. And I think what I'm learning in this process, this transition process, um, some things she cannot change, like the water company, things that are happening, and you wonder what the hell is going on. Um, Things happen, and things happen outside of your control. It doesn't make any sense, people. Um, it's it's a buffoonery after buffoonery. But I'm learning to like just kind of chill out. I just, sometimes just don't anything. And it'll pass. Yeah. So that's what's happened with that. So now, yeah, so basically in short, getting back to the dream, that you're going to be put in different locations and different themes keep popping up. The theme of where are you? And I think it's about navigating in your world. So, what is the main parts of your world? Your childhood classroom, and maybe your first job. So, and the issues that it presented. But I'm hoping that by this age that I have, it down pat. But I think the whole thing is who are we in this matrix? Who are we, and what is your purpose and your focus? Who are you in relationship to your environment? That I think is the main question. What do you think it is all about, people? When you're having these recurring dreams, these themes, being in an old classroom, being in an old job, being in a place and you how you got there, but you're there and you're just trying to navigate. That's what I feel. I don't feel so much that I'm navigating here, but evidently in this dream, I'm still it's still an issue. I would say, what is my purpose in life? Okay, I left America. Um, what do I do next? So for me now, well, I purchased, yeah, I purchased some soil, ponic soil. I found a place. They blend, uh, they blend a soil for you. So yeah, I want to do people. I want to get into plants, and I mean, I live in this space here. It's a house with a garden. It already has a garden, but I want to have I want to make plants. I mean, I want to grow plants, but in a pot. What do you call it? Yeah, in different pots rather than directly into the dirt. Uh, to have plants in pots, growing in pots, and primarily I want to do like vegetables and edibles. That's what I want to do, people. Um, and so I want to do it again. Remember back in New York in 2017, I was doing that. Yeah, yeah. There's only so much you can do in an apartment. Oh, I got another mosquito bite. Yeah, in Rwanda, there are mosquitoes, people. Yeah, be careful about yeah, the mosquitoes. Um, so you might wonder. Yeah, somehow they get underneath your shirt, they get in and you have these bite marks, these mosquito bites. And I just got a new one on my leg. Yeah. So yeah, I do know someone who got malaria. Yeah, not her husband, but she got it. Yeah. Yeah, you get a high fever. Yeah, I don't need that. But there's treatment for malaria. Yeah, you get like a fever. She thought it was something she ate, and she immediately felt uncomfortable. If that's really something. I remember I ate something in the past, but when I was a kid, and shortly, maybe the next day, I got sick. I threw up. And I was just a little girl. I was first or second grade, and I was eating a green apple candy. It's like green, it had that weird taste. To this day, I don't feel comfortable eating any flavor that's called green apple, anything. Yeah. So like so because it's associated to that something might have, that you got sick right after, and it was a weird taste. So this lady I know, she ate something and she's not supposed to eat these sweets, but she ate it. And immediately she felt sick. But it had nothing, different things going on. She had malaria. Yeah, the I had visited, she had contacted me. She and her husband. It was she that contacted me. And I came over, but she wasn't well. She had a fever. And by the time I arrived, like she didn't tell me about her fever in the message. But when I got there, she wasn't well. And she thought the fever was breaking, but later on, the fever went up and they went to the hospital. And it was discovered she had malaria. And so they gave her some medicine for the malaria. Malaria can be deadly for some people. The tropics, is something you gotta navigate in. Yeah, Rwanda is very, very, very biologically active. I said that before. You can't put, you can't sit down without something interfering with you. I mean, it is that biologically active. They got all different types of ants. You put down something, boom, it's going to be attacked by something. And I think I got stung yesterday. Yeah, I was cleaning out. Yeah, I have a new water issue again. Um, but there's a piping that does work, and I was cleaning out a basin, put in fresh water, and then I just went to turn over the little bucket. And then there was a something pricked my finger. I heard it stung. It was more than just getting a little prick. It was vicious, boy. Yeah, it was this finger. Yeah, and then you saw a puncture wound. I I um I don't know, but I did see there was a wasp near that was around me at one point. And I'm wondering, hey, was this thing on the bucket? Then I disturbed it when I was turning over the bucket. I don't know, because I didn't immediately see anything. I didn't see anything fly around, but there was a wasp that was in the vicinity where I was cleaning. So I'm wondering, you know, wow. People, when you get stung, um, does do those things, those things that sting you, do they like die right away? Do they, I don't know. But yeah, there was a puncture wound. Um, I never like there's a prick and then it's like a I didn't hear anything either. It's not like you hear something. It's just when I grabbed the bucket, turn it over, and my hand slid around it to to turn it over. But man, it stung. It was extremely painful. I think I got stung by a bee. Something. I think. Oh God, it was like what was in the area that was around me at one point. Shortly after, was a wasp. Um, So who knows? But man, if it was extremely painful. I never felt that kind of pain on my finger. I'm pricked before in life, but this was like a bang. It really, it like it was so intense and stayed there. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I'm okay. This was just yesterday. Yeah, so it's gone now. So, okay. Yeah, hello, viewers. Hello, viewers. So that was the dream that I had. And I guess it's all about transition. And so you can leave a location, but sometimes you don't leave your problems. Okay. It's always going to be something else. Um, I like a lot of things about Rwanda. And I hope I'm not entrapping myself. I like a lot of things about Rwanda, the environment. I do like the people. In general, I like meeting the people. But business um, is another issue. But the heart of the people, the heart of Rwanda, I like them. And I think they know that I like them. I like them. They're, they're, they're kind, a lot of kindness, a lot of, yeah. And I said to myself when I was walking to the store, I said, I like it here. I like the surroundings. It is a lot of wanting here, but I'm comforted by the nature. I really would like to make it work. Um, yeah, okay, I'm just looking for my dog. Okay, he's okay. And it's either I want to, either you have to either make it work or leave. That's so the two options. I want to make it work. I have to learn the language, people. I mean, I have my study books behind me there. Basic Kinyarwanda, that's the name of the language. Kinyarwanda. Ah, boy, it's nothing like English. There's nothing that sounds, it is exotic on exotic. Yeah, it's extremely exotic. Yeah, it was, I mean, it took me months just to learn how to say hello. Yeah. I mean, I was studying a little bit of the greetings before I left, like maybe 2 or 3 months before when I knew I was to arrive here in Rwanda. I found something on YouTube on basic greetings in Kinyarwanda language, the of Rwanda, the indigenous language here. Um, wow. It, wow. So, yeah, muraho, that is hello in Kinyarwanda. At least I got that. Yeah, if you come, one thing, if you come to a place like Rwanda, yeah, it would be very nice if you knew how to say hello. It really makes their day. And I like to connect with people on that way. And some of the people that want to connect with me, I've had a stranger come up to me, a young man, a farmer, and he goes across the street, shakes my hand. I knew some of the things he was saying. He was me greetings, and I didn't know anything. I was like, oh God, I don't know what I was saying. But some of the people here really uh, went out the way to, yeah, and I'm a stranger, and I like it. I like, and I mentioned in another live stream, a recent one, I said, Rwanda has shown me some love, they really have. I mean, it's very easy to insult people, to a poor place. But um, Rwanda, I think in all my life, has shown me the biggest love. I'm saying it. Rwanda, and I thank you, Rwanda. Yeah, so I'm not here to piss on anybody, but Rwanda has shown the love. But I had other experiences here that you know about with my pets. But overall, the general population has shown me love, and I'm forever grateful for those moments, Rwanda. Murakuchane. That means thank you very much. Yeah, Murakuchane. Uh, yeah, so I appreciate the love that I have received here in Rwanda. I really would like to make it work. I symbolically, well, I don't have my own place. I'm renting, but why wait? I mean, if I'm saying to you out there that I want to stay here, and eventually my big dream is to buy property and to build a little house. I want a garden. I want my own garden. So I've been watching now my monitors right there. I learned how to do farming. Well, what do you call it? Like gardening. I shouldn't say farm, but gardening. I want to grow beautiful plants. That is my fantasy, my dream. I want to build like a homestead, a small place, but a big garden. And I want to produce my food, people. To me, it's like a religion. I think eating is a spiritual thing. That's how I feel. I think growing food is a spiritual thing. And back in New York City, well, upstate New York, yes, there are farms there, of course, but New York City, it's dying. It's dying, and it's a fakery. It's a lot of artificial, and I don't want that for myself. And even back in New York, remember in 2017, I was trying to grow watermelon. Yeah, trying to grow watermelon and all this stuff in my apartment. Remember that episode in my life? I knew for me, I wanted to touch nature. I wanted to get connected, and because New York City was about things. People are about things, but people aren't about life. And I didn't want that for myself. And I want to touch nature. Touch nature and God to me are the same. You know, I know many people may not believe that, but for me, just my own so-called spiritual journey, nature is a reflection of God, and I feel I want to be more connected with God. Thus, I want to connect with the Creator through doing gardening. It is magic. I believe it's a magical lifestyle. It can break your back too. But lately, I've been watching, past 2 days or so, I'm watching some shows on planting. They've showed, oh my God, some of the gods. Yeah, British people, well, I should say, people who live in rural Britain, they're into their gardenings, man. Oh, wait, I've seen some. I said, is that real? Wow. It was very inspiring. So, yeah, so I want to reconnect. I don't have my own place, but at least start where you are. And that's how I felt in 2017 when I got into plant, trying to be a gardener. Uh, yeah, I want to reconnect, and I want to form a home for me. And I think there's some the other, that's also why I did that in New York in 2017. I wanted to feel more grounded. And when you have all these plants, whatever, that helps you feel grounded. You can't just pick up and go. It helps you look, get this, plant roots somewhere, right? Literally planting roots. But with planting roots, you get settled. And that's also what I wanted back in 2017, you know. And it didn't work out. Some of my plants worked out. The plants that I had on the windowsill, I had gotten these hot peppers. They looked like Scotch bonnets. Man, they were prolific. Yeah, they grew, honey, but it didn't really grow fruit. But the bushy was real bushy and green. Oh no, they were peppers. Um, I think they were bell peppers. They weren't. I know I tried to do the hot pepper, but whatever what they were, there was some type of peppers, and they grew, but it didn't grow fruit. Um, so it made me feel good. It made me feel like, wow, I could make something. And in childhood, I think I was in the fourth grade, third or fourth grade, and we grew a pea plant. Yeah, I remember that, and I remember the magic that I felt um, doing this. Um, and to this day, I'm growing a pea plant, not pea, like a bean plant. Yeah, and it's growing pods. So maybe later on I could take a picture of it. Yeah, I'm growing more pods. Before I'll show you two, but now I'm getting more. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. Have to keep it watered. So that's what's happening here. Whether I get my own place or not, I still want to fulfill my promise to myself that I wanted to grow plants and I want to grow watermelon. Yeah. But I want to get a watermelon seed from a melon that I tasted and tasted good. Yeah. The fruit here that I've tasted is wanting, you know, and that's also why I want to grow some of my own food because some of this stuff is very wanting, and I want to grow things that taste good to me. So that is my dream, and yeah, I want to next talk about the Black Indians. Yeah, I think it's all connected. What I want to talk about. Yeah, I when I was turned on my device that I'm using now, um, I saw something on one of the YouTubers I watch. Excuse me, is discussing about the Caribs, the black, the Kalinago. Yeah, the Kalinago people. Yeah, you have, and I've talked about things like this before. The theme about this, about the Indians, Black Indians, and I was even told that um, oh, was that my great? I think it'd be my great grandmother or was a Carib Indian, black Carib. No, you know, and and that's also why I feel like I'm in Africa. Um, See, I don't have any problem, people. Said earlier in this live stream, enjoy you, enjoy your genetics. why make things up about your history? Now, um, but not totally poo-pooing. Now, I was told myself that particular ancestor was a Carib Indian, um, and they were coming from the Caribbean. But I think, like, see, sometimes, and in the Caribbean, they have different terms for things. Like, people not know where they come from, especially if you are people that were captured and then you're put in an area like the Caribbean or Latin America. You don't know where you are, and you lose your identity, and then you couldn't acquire a new identity because you have to try. You try to make sense of who you are, and there were mixing going on, and so, but oftentimes. You were mixing, if you were a so-called black person, you were mixing with a white person, regardless how it happened. Doesn't matter how it happened, but it happened. And again, this is history. And it's human history. And what happened in the transatlantic slave trade was something that happened throughout history of human migration, human labor being exploited big time. And it's still being exploited big time now. It's just on such an even larger scale, but people don't want to see that. The people want to see it as something unique. It really wasn't unique. It was about exploiting human labor for some reason. But either way, uh, and with my YouTube video, there are people who I still get comments on a video I put up over 5 years ago, and a lot of controversy. I entitled "Blacks Who Consider Themselves Indians," something like that. Yeah, a lot of people didn't like what I said, but I was just giving a story of what happened, and there are people out there of the Black community. They know who they are, but they don't want anything to do with their concept of Black people. Well, there are all different types of Black people around the world, but I would say in America, in New York City, where I'm from, I can really only talk about New York City, that urban life, people's identity. I would say Black America in New York City is at a downfall. Um, you have so many new groups now, and they're overshining the uh, Black population there. And they don't feel empowered, I feel, in my opinion. That's my opinion. And to empower themselves, they want to identify with something that represents power to them. And being a native of the Americas is one of them, even though it's not their lineage. But and even myself was told that that person's a Carib Indian. I even at one point wanted to leave New York and move into this. I do have connections in this island, Dominica. Dominica, they have an Indian reservation, the Carib Indian Reservation. And I do have connections with Dominica. One of my grandmothers was physically born there, but she is a Martinican. But she was physically born in Rousseau, Martinique. I mean, Rousseau, Dominica. Excuse me, Rousseau, Dominica. And in Dominica, there is a reservation with Indians, but there is a blend of some of the people, obviously, of Black heritage. Um, But in specific, I am not of the genetics of the Carib Indian. I mean, maybe okay. I My genetics show that I do not have any Indian, but I think, but is it possible that um there might be some connection with people of that nation. I don't know, but her family tree goes back to Martinique. But I'm wondering whether the husband, I mean the my oh, be I'm sorry, my it'd be my great grandmother, whether her husband or slash partner, whether he was actually from Dominica. I don't know. He could have been. They lived there, and my grandmother was born there, but they moved back to Martinique. Um, but you have people who are promoting a certain lineage. And I'm saying, enjoy who you are. Yes, hello, viewer. Yeah, this is a new topic now about what they call the Carib Indians, Black Indians, whatever. And I saw that one of the YouTubers that I do watch um, had something about them. They were showing pictures. Um, yeah, I am not Indian on any level. Yeah, not even the Asian Indians. No, 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 not even a drop. I got my genetics tested. Um, but yeah, they're trying to promote. It seems like the pain of Black America. They're hating themselves so much, and they're harming one another in their communities. Now, I'm saying you don't need to do that, Black America, especially blacks in urban areas. And again, most of the blacks in America are forced to live in urban settings. But of course, you have those who do live in rural communities in the South. But uh, I think it's more of an emotional thing that's happening to us, spiritual and emotional, that is plaguing Black America, and it plagued me too. Um, it's a downfall, but there's hope for all of us. Um, you start where you are. Even the dream that I had this morning that I talked about a moment ago. Um, Wherever where you are in life, there is always you. And if you don't like certain things about yourself, that's okay. Just improve on who you really are. Um, Fix yourself up. Do things that edify yourself. Maybe you need to stay away from certain people, certain community members, or certain family members. You need to stay away from because they pull down on your spirit. And it's okay. It's okay to leave. You don't like a location. You don't like your history. Well, start a new history for yourself. I left America. I'm starting a new life here in Africa. It's what you make out of it. I want to make the best out of where I am. And again, if life shows itself that you really don't like it or things are happening, it's okay to leave. You're not here to impress anyone. You're here to do you. You're here to start a new life for yourself. You don't have to don't hide your identity. That's one thing I didn't want. I remember my father saying something uh, when I was very young. Uh, I mean, the essence of what I was asking, but he took it to the next level. What he said was true. He says, love yourself. Don't be ashamed of who you are. Okay. You make who you are. And yes, maybe the media, television may display so called Black people, Black Americans in a negative way. But see, that's all that it is. It's media. And as we see what Trump says, there's fake news. There's a lot of fakery going out there. And the fake news that is trying to lie to Black public about who they are. You are more than what media say you are. You really have a lot to offer the planet and to offer yourself. You're a strong people, you've endured a lot, but we're focused on lies. And why lie to yourself? Why lie to yourself when the truth of who you are is greater than anything else? And that's all people. We all have greatness in us. A greatness is not television. or the history books. Because you have people who are in charge of the history books and they're not about you and they tell you lies. And so you have still people and so called Black Americans want to push it. And I know a lot of Blacks are not going to like this. They never seem to like this. See, they want to believe lies. There's nothing wrong being Africa, being an African. I am living in the center of Africa, Central Africa, and they're regular people. You have people at all different development stages of their life and community. Yeah, you have the, basic people who, just, farmers living off the grid. Yeah, they actually, there's no running water. They probably don't have electricity either. And then you have those who are live in nice houses with so running water. Yeah, water is a problem here, people. I live in a so-called modern house, and the water wasn't working. Yeah, on off, on off, on off, and I live in I would say might be considered a middle class. The big homeowners, they're like they probably work in an office building, something like that. And then you have the farm type communities to all peppered in. We all live together, and I like it that way actually. Um, but there's nothing wrong with you people. We're just one of many, many people. We're not to be afraid. Don't be afraid of who you are. And if you're afraid of yourself, examine yourself. Say, okay, let me examine why I don't like myself or what's so called inferior about myself. Examine it, but examine it with tangible data about you. Learn about your family, learn about your personal history. And you see, some of us, we have a dynamic about us. That you're going to see, people who had courage. You have people who maybe had a bad life, but it's your history. Don't be ashamed of your history because it shapes the you. You don't like yourself, don't pretend you're somebody else. There's nothing wrong though of using an example of something that you admire and then incorporating yourself to do great and mighty things. For you to personally do great and mighty things. Okay. For me, the concept of so-called slavery. Now, I wouldn't want to be a slave. I mean, a chattel slave of 300 years ago. No one would. Um, but in essence, aren't we all slaves on this planet? We all try to outdo each other. We it's either to kill or be killed mentality. Yeah, that exists. But for me, and I've shared this before, that I have a sense of pride coming from, for me, my African heritage, and I want to embrace it, and I want to make it work for me. Um, Africa is one of many. Africa is a continent of many continents, and you be this thought. You be your own personal goodness. Um, make it work for you. I I'm not ashamed of those people who were enslaved. I did research on my family. It seems to be easier. And tell me if it's like this with you. Is it easier for you to get your family tree situation from mother or your father's side? For me, it's my mother's side. It's in the female side is easier to get data on than the male side. But either way, on my mother's side, they're primarily from Martinique, and the French people, or I should say mainland France, uh, the island of Martinique is an overseas department of France. They have many overseas departments, and it seems like the French to me, mainland France to me, is a cross between, and I know in my be considered offensive. It's not meant to be um, offensive, but just an observation. The French, to me, is a blend culturally of Spain, Spain and Portugal, and Britain or Germany. It has, I mean, it's a Catholic country primarily, um, but their attitudes about so-called black people is a blend. They 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 don't like blacks, but then they have a love affair of black people. I mean, I know that's addicting, but they have a love-hate for the black race. They love black people, they love our music, but they don't like us either. But they're more open about the history of the transatlantic slave trade, um, even to a point that they have online those from Martinique who don't know about the database. There is a database, and it's two of them. One is promoted by one is sponsored by a bank in France, and another one, oh, I forget who it was, but they're free databases, and they've what do you call it? They made photocopy. They digitalize many of the documents of the slave trade. Yeah, big book. It's massive. Yeah. Um, I was able, I have a cousin that's a distant cousin that's living in France, and she did extensive research, again, of that you're really able to do the payback of your European ancestors. I'm being real, I'm being honest. It does, the part of the actual enslaved people, you don't, at least I haven't found it, you don't have as much. And to me, the thing about concept of slavery, I'm not ashamed of the topic of slavery. It's something that happened in history, but a lot of the history you see on television and they try to shame you. People, I can honestly say, I have no shame. In fact, I embrace it. I embrace that I have ancestors. I mean, we'll have a story. And this is one of many stories. I'm ashamed. I embrace it. That my genetics, my lineage had people who've gone through certain things. Think of it as a novel. Don't you out there ever read a novel before? What makes a novel interesting are the ups and downs in it, the trials, the tribulations, and then the um, overcoming. It is an epic. It's a novel, and that's all I see it as. That's all I see it as. And but again, getting back, Martinique has um, free. It's no hassle. You just go in it. The database. There are two databases, and you could go and thumb through the history of your lineage. They have the databases of the people in Martinique who got their freedom. Well, I should say, got their citizenship. So slavery ended in Martinique in the 1840s. It could have been 1846. And the names of the people, and some of the people that were on the list were, let's see, the particular person in question, her name is Delphine. I remember the first name Delphine, and her own mother was still alive, or her grandmother was still alive, and the names are listed on this directory, and then her father also. See, also, you didn't have a last name until slavery ended, and you were assigned a last name, uh, and so her father was given a last name, Bon, means good. I guess Mr. Good. um, it's weird that the names that they were given, but one of the ancestors was given a very exotic name, last name, and the only thing I could speculate in this matter. And any of you who are from the Caribbean who know about the database in Montenegro, the French colonies or say overseas departments, who may know about it, you could add your insight with it as well. Um, yeah, I have one of my ancestors. They were given a name, a last name. I could only speculate because I don't have further proof. I mean, I hope I can get. I would like to be able to get it, but it's something. They would get a last name that was not a French name. Um, I assume. I could only speculate. They got the name of their father. Okay, yeah. What's different about Martinique? The the these okay, the colonies that had a lot of Catholics seemed a little bit. I mean, it was brutal. The slavery in the Catholic world in the Americas. The Protestant world in the Americas were more strict about having sexual unions with slaves. So you find in the Catholic, and even still, the Catholic Church is infamous, if you know what I mean. It's infamous, and it's still infamous. But either way, the plus of the Catholic societies in the Americas during slavery, they were a little bit more open on sexual issues, and they were willing to give you their last name eventually. Yes, there were more marriages that occurred during this time, when it happened, versus in a Protestant dominated society. Uh, so with this particular answer, they did not get a typical French name. And so why would you at the end of when the enslaved people, I don't want slave, but enslaved people were getting their citizenship of France, they were then issued last names. Um, and there were three people issued this particular surname. Um, and I assume, what happened, that they got the name of their biological father. Yeah, you had people who owned slaves, yes, and but a slave cannot inherit a last name. A slave could be given a person that is enslaved can be issued their freedom papers, yes, um, and then at that time given a last name, and most likely they would get the name of their last name of their biological father. Um, I assume that, yeah, that would be interesting research. Who was that man? Yeah, one thing I cannot find is who who enslaved that specific ancestor. Yeah, the paper. Yeah, people. Any Martinican in there? Yeah, if there's a Martinican uh, on the chat, let me know. How could I would love to find out. See, to me, it doesn't bother me. To me, it's just history. And I think we're all connected somehow in this novel. Life is a novel, okay? Um, I wonder who the family was. And yeah, that's something I could, since now I'm living here, I could actually do research. Maybe I should. Interesting of someone studying about um, slavery of 200 plus years ago, but now you're living in Africa. Isn't that something? It's an interesting approach. It's not boring. Again, I have no shame. I really embrace it. I embrace it all, honey. Um, I would like to get, yeah, her name was Delphine, and they had to go to their nearest township, wherever where you were enslaved at, when slavery got removed from Montenegro, all its French colonies, they had to go and register for citizenship citizenship of France, and then you be issued a last name. And did you know, I heard, some people don't like that. Oh, you're given a slave name, a slave last name. Okay. Don't poo poo. You know what? Did you know that Europeans, the same thing happened in Europe? Excuse me. Europeans were issued last names. History just repeats itself. You think these names of people in Europe with last names? I don't I don't want to say that I know everything. I don't. But I was told that in Western European history, and it could have been when, because again, the Romans were the colonial people. The Roman Empire and the Roman Empire imposed on Western Europe and gave it helped shape its identity, people. You didn't know that. Not everybody, not every European are friends. Europe was invaded too. Western Europe was colonized. And they were also issued last names by the controlling government of its time. Last names are created. I don't know how they created it, but I was taught, at least in Martinique. And again, any Martinican out there, yeah, any Martinican people out there, please share your story on your history of, because there's a database, there's two databases that's free for anybody to access, regardless where you live. I don't remember the name. If I get the name, it's on my one of my desktops. It's upstairs. Um, I have it saved on the, we call it the bookmarking on the computer itself. So if I find the two books, I'll share it. I want to share it. Um, you can look, you do research, and again, I have the earliest ancestor, Delphine. She had a baby the year slavery ended. She was 14, people. Ooh, she was 14. She was issued a last name, and then her father registered in his township. I think the daughter and father were living in different towns as enslaved, and he registered at a different time. He registered after the daughter had registered. Once the father registered and he was issued a last name, the the daughter then assumes now the father's last name. Is that something? This is history. This is a true history of what happened, the transition of one life, one social life, into a new transition of the modern day society. I did visit Martinique. Wow, it's a while ago. I visited twice, one in the late 1980s and one in the late 1990s. Yeah, Martinican people, they love themselves, honey. It's very African and very French at the same time. They love themselves. They have an edge to them, people. Am I lying? Anybody ever? Martinique is a trip. Yeah, I visited twice. It has, I'm being real. It embraces both histories. They are proud people, boy. Yeah, they're real. They're very. It was a very unique experience. My going there. Martinique was the first non-white place that I visited, and it was an eye opener to me. I visited the first time when I was in the Navy, and it helped open up my self love for my so called blackness, my black heritage. Yeah, it was really I mean, I had experiences before in New York, these people that I met in the mid to late 1980s, but my hands on of really embracing and appreciating my history was when I went to Martinique, where my grandparents on my mother's side are from. Um, it has a very strong identity. They love their language. Yep, they love their culture, big time. You may wonder, why didn't I go there to live? Well, it's part of the French community, mainland France. Um, it was, yeah, it was kind of to get the paperwork. It's very tricky. Uh, it's a two-step. You have to first go there to whatever what um, French location. Um, you have to first get housing and get a lease signed. Then you got to go back to your home country. It's a double step process, and and the money involved because you have to go there long enough to find a place, establish things, the bank account, and then go back home, and I had a dog. I had three dogs back then, and to go back, it would have, if I kept my dogs in the States and go by myself to find housing, it was just expensive. The housing for dogs. Yeah, if I kept them in New York and pay someone to watch them, over $100 a day, and I had three dogs, and that was for one dog, plus the add-on for the two extra dogs. It would have been like $8,000 just for the dog care. And again, you get what you pay, maybe that would have been the best thing. I don't know. But I didn't want to live in a European place at that time. I said, I really want to embrace yeah, and I wanted to, I did consider France, but it was a double step, twice as much money or even more to do so. I was limited funds. Um, and to go actually back to Martinique, again, I visited there twice. It's a small island, very small island, and I wanted something a little bigger for me. But you never know. Um, there are certain aspects that I wasn't comfortable with at the time, but the cultural pride I did embrace. But this other aspects, and as a female, I was a young female back then, it was a little tricky. Okay. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, and it's expensive living. Martinique, any French colony you go to, people, in my opinion, is expensive, expensive, expensive. I, if you retire, you don't retire in a place like that, man. Martinique, everything has to ship in. Oh, but they do have a lot of fruit there. They have, they're still into agriculture in Martinique. It's in the Caribbean. They got banana plantations, and they are really top notch in planting, boy. They have Martinique have they mastered they mastered farming, boy. They got massive plantation fields. Um, yeah, but I also found out they use chemicals that cause cancer. Yeah, yeah. Just being real, yeah. I had no idea that they use things like that in Martinique, but it explains why the bananas are so yellow. Yeah, they put pesticide on the banana trees, and most understanding, they use mostly the men to cultivate the banana trees. And a lot of Martinican men have prostate cancer. Turns out that they were spraying, somebody was spraying the trees with this carcinogenic pesticide, and it affected the men, and then the men have relations with their partners, and the partners have cancer now. I saw it in a video, a documentary. I said, oh my goodness, people. It's awful. Yeah. I know I'm kind of a little bit all over the place with this, but I think everything's all connected and related on this thing life. Uh, yeah, so I didn't go to Martinique to live. Too expensive for me, and I've been there twice, and I felt um, there's certain things that my being a female uh, wasn't to the best of my interest. And I think that was a big component. I mean, my second and last visit there, I said, I'm ready to go. Yeah, I went there twice, 2 weeks straight, at 2 week intervals went there. So each time I went there for 2 weeks. And I remember that last visit, I said, I'm ready to go home. Yeah. So, but no poo-poo on place. I mean, yeah, that Martinique has, they love themselves, and I, that's one thing. Yeah, they love themselves. They love their culture, Martinique and Martinicans. They have all different types of Martinicans. You have we call the Big. Those are the descendants of the slave owners. Then you have the descendants of slaves, and you have different social groupings within the Black population. You have the farmers, and you also have the bougies. Oh, yes, you do. They have the people might call them bougies. These are the people, the intellectual community there. Yeah, you have blacks with the intellectual. They dress really nice. They speak perfect French. um, yeah, I met all types of people in Martinique, and that aspect I liked about them. I remember going to the market there, in Martinique, and it was very African. They used the metric system also there. They had the scales that they used. I was just amazed of the cultivation that they had there. They eat all types of food there. They eat a lot of fish there too. But either way, I'm sorry, kind of off the track. But yeah, this is all part of my spiritual and cultural awareness, identity. Um, yeah, so I did choose Rwanda to live in. It's affordable live here, um, so that's why I'm here, and not France. I did consider mainland France, but it's costly. Um, Oh yeah, but the slave papers, and again, the Colonigo people, the what do you call the Black Caribs. Um, yeah, so my journey has been a lifetime journey, and Martinique, learning about Martinique, visiting there twice, did open up my appreciation of my Black heritage. I say it like that, so-called Black, but what I mean, because we're not a color per se, we are a culture, a history, but I just say that because those are the labels that are given. Um, and nothing wrong of color. Yeah, one thing in Martinique, they're all different colors in Martinique. They come very dark, and they come very light. Um, but we're not a color beyond color, and that's the theme of this message, with regard to the Carib Indians myth, that you're not a color, you are a spirit. And you're beyond the body. The body is just an avatar that we habitat in. And so many of us, and it's all over in the Americas, people's attitude about their so-called blacks, embrace it. Um, Again, in Martinique, they have the database. It's nothing to be ashamed about. It is find out your lineage, your personal lineage. And you're going to find this, they live a life that you would never imagine. Um, Good and bad. Again, it's a novel. Who wants to read a novel that everybody's perfect, everybody's born with a gold spoon? It's boring. Read your novel. And that's all it is, people. A novel of ups and downs, and learn from it. And see, that's how they entrap your soul, by making you ashamed. Um, face the shame, and say, that might have happened, but I'm better than that. I'm a better person. Um, so yeah, so people are still, again, pushing the narrative to make themselves feel big about being the car. Again, I was told about that I was a part of a black car. What was that? See, they said the car, how do you call it? Uh, car, either they said black Carib or Caribbean. Oh, Caribbean. I have no Indian. Um, but people had to understand who they were. And if you're coming from a nation and or multiple nations, and you're all living together, you have to try to find out, you know, who you were. Now, there is a big difference between the Western European and West African. They're totally different in looks. And so when you have start to have mixing between two people, you have, who are you then? So I think some of the people use the term uh, Indian or Caribbean um, at some point um, because they did have, at least in Dominica, and one of my grandmothers was physically born in Dominica, and they did have a Carib Indian Reserve, and it's a territory of Britain, and they set aside a location for the Indians that live there. So they might have gotten that terminology, Carib Indian, from um, but again, I don't know. And my genetics show I do not have it. And my mother does not have it. Okay. But you have to describe, you have a cross between a black and a white person. You're somewhere in the middle. So they might have used the term Indian to denote, okay, when a person looks like this, we're going to call them Indian, right? So I think that's all that it was. You do, though, have what is called the Kalinago. And I had the honor of meeting two Kalinago people. Well, one is definitively Kalinago because we were talking about it. And he told me about the organization in New York with them. Yeah, the Kalinago people, let me tell you about them. They are I have a respect for these people, the Kalinago people. I think they're called the Kalinago. Well, in history, you had a ship that was filled with captives from Africa, and they escaped. I think there was the ship had crashed or something, and they escaped the people who were kidnapped. And there was an island in the Caribbean. They uh, um, went for refuge. And there were Caribs there. There was a settlement between the two people that got along, but the British came and they did not want the two groups to mingle. So the British authorities took, well, I don't want to call them authority, but the government of Britain, they removed those Africans away from the Indians, who they call Indians, and they relocated them. And many of these people, the descendants of these people, live in Central America. But many of these people in Central, well, they set up their own community. They have their own language. And the genetics were done for these people. At least now, modern day people, descendants of these people, they are 70 something percent black, then Indian, and then a little European. But ultimately, basically, they're a black group people, and the genetics show this. And so you have these people. The term that they're called is, I think, Kalinago. And you have a population of these modern day people who are descendants from this uh, slave ship that crashed, and then they escaped, mingled with the so-called Indians. People from India are Indians. Okay, that's why I say it like that. They're not Indians, but that's what they're called in the Americas. And these people were removed from the Indians to Central America. They formed a community, so they were enslaved, and more power to them. They have their own language, culture that's very distinct from the people they live around. Yes, modern day Kalinago people are yes, in Central America they is Spanish is spoken, but they have their own language. But yes, they know Spanish, of course. Modern day people of that they know the language, Spanish, and many of them are moving, and they moved to New York City, and they live primarily in the Bronx. The Bronx has a heavy, heavy Spanish Caribbean influence, peoples, migrants from there. Yeah, many, many, many people there. So very different feel, the Bronx. It's in the South Bronx where they primarily live. And I got an opportunity to meet a gentleman from there. I forget how we bumped into each other, but I remember we were walking and somehow we started talking. He was very pleasant, and he told me that that they have a dance thing there. Yeah, they have these cultural events, and they teach dances that they do there. And on YouTube, yeah, I was very yeah. This is going way back. I didn't even have my dogs then, um, but I was very very yeah. I got my first dog 15 years ago. Yeah, um, but I was very impressed with their cultural identity, that they maintain their their culture after all these years. Yeah, it's some of them are called the black Caribs, or I think there was the Kalinago. Um, but yeah, they exist, and they're very different from the general population where they have been living for several hundred years in Central America. So they're not Hispanic per se. But yes, they can speak Spanish, but they're different history. Yeah, their neighbors were enslaved, but were conquered by the Spaniards. You have a heavy indigenous population there, and they blend with the European. And yes, you do have blacks that were sent there also who were enslaved generationally, living in Central. So Central America has a lot of people, but it has a very heavy so-called American Indian genetics. And I did meet another lady, and very dark complexion, and she very nice. Um, she's older. I think she lives up in the Bronx. Um, but yeah, she was telling me of the different languages that she speaks, and this language that she speaks in her home. Um, some exotic name. Um, but yeah, she was very nice. It's some of us, you know, are balanced. She seemed like a very balanced woman. Part of her heritage. Again, she has a dual heritage. She is living as was living in Central America, so she's part of the Hispanic community in part, but again, very different because she's coming out from this other people, and she speaks her people's language. But again, I don't remember the name. It was some exotic name, never heard of. And she was telling me about that. She speaks this at home. But she's a beautiful person. And so for me, when I think of the African that was transported to the Americas, I think of her. I think of she had a beautiful heart, this lady. I don't remember her name, but she was a beautiful soul. And again, I shared before that I had an opportunity to live in the Caribbean. I hated it. I hated the place. I lived in St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Physically, it looked, it's a place. It's hilly. Parts of it is green, but they do have parts that is brown. You know, the plant life. Um, I didn't like it. Um, I it's like I'm just going to say it seemed like in some societies the relationship of the people, the ancestors of the enslaved people of the certain colonies in the Caribbean um, is problematic. There's a lot of infighting, um, a lot of jealousies with the women. And I find, I'm just going to say, I find that they're like, there's a lot of petty jealousies and extreme hatred. It was something. And my back, on my father's side, my father's father was from the U.S. Virgin Islands. So I'm not a total stranger. But there is a hatred for blacks that were the U.S. Virgin Islands. Uh, the women are catty. They could be book smart. They're intelligent people, but there's an immaturity amongst the. I know I'm gonna get this, but I'm saying it. There's a lot of backbiting, sabotage, and they don't have to do that. And I don't know, understand the hatred if you're a black person that wasn't born and but you lived there. Hatred. But the whites that go there, they kiss their ass, and that I did not like. I did. It's like you don't want people in your country slash island, but many of the people on the on that island, they go when they have kids and they go to the U.S. for college. Just saying, and they smart. They are smart. Academic. They're intelligent. Um, so I didn't. It was an experience that I had, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the culture, backbiting culture. But they don't have to do that. They're hardworking though. They're very hardworking, but the culture, um, it's very abusive to women. That's the other thing that I saw there. They um, there's a lot of domestic violence against women. I don't know. Well, St. Thomas, it was invaded, had different, it was under five flags, I was told. Five flags, at least St. Croix. It's under five flags, and then you have newer migrants from other islands that live, because it's under the control of the U.S., you have people, neighboring islands that come to benefit of the strength that they have in the economy because it's paid in U.S. dollars. Okay, um, and it has some infrastructure. Yes, St. Thomas had infrastructure because it's under the U.S. flag. It does help a lot who is controlling the island, throughout the Caribbean. Yeah, Montanique, it has a very, very good transportation system. Excellent. What I remember. Yeah, when you can travel, because the roads are well maintained. It has some stability. Yeah, St. Thomas, very good roads, but up in the mountains, they have the dirt roads and big boulders all over. You have to live. Um, at one point, the Crown Mountain, I think it's called Crown Mountain. Yeah, I think it's called Crown Mountain. It's a big peak, and boy, it rains a lot there. It's cold up in the mountains. Yeah, it gets cold in the mountains. Um, but yeah, I kind of got distracted again. But it's all related. Yeah, so I met different types of people in St. Thomas. There are good people in St. Thomas, but the overall culture it's there. There were things that were going on, evil. Okay. Um, the okay, but the Kalinago, I mean, they don't have the Carib Indians there, but Saint Lucia, they have remnants of these people, the Caribs there, and in Central America. They embrace themselves, and but you have people who want to say that they've all been here. They haven't. I mean, they show photos, but photos could be taken out of context. They can take photos of people that look like black people with a grass skirt on, right? You don't know where that picture was taken. But they'd say that, oh, see, these are Indians. West Africans have grass skirts. They have things. Um, they never really tell where that picture was. They take pictures from history, but they never tell you where the picture was taken from. And then you had advertisers back in the day, and they'll have drawings, do etchings of people, and like they were selling the tobacco, things like that. And so who knows? I mean, the artists were European, and they can draw anything to sell a product. And so, yes, some of them had curly hair, they had the grass skirts on. Who are these people? But they wanted to pass it off as that they were there when Columbus arrived, and haven't proved it. But one thing but in history, that yes, you had blacks that escaped slavery, um, and they form Maroons in Jamaica. They have Maroons in Jamaica. But people want to take claim of a history. And why? Because most likely they watched a program on television. But if you go visit a bona fide Indian, especially a North American in reservation, you're going to run from it. It is depressing. I've never been in one, so I don't know. I do not have firsthand knowledge of it, and I admit that. But the documentaries, these people do not look happy. Many of them are impoverished. There's a lot of violence, a lot of domestic violence. You find um, like in America's like the what's the country? I think it's called Greenland, and it's Iceland. There are indigenous people there, the people that were there before the Europeans invaded there. And even though it's being listed as one of the safest places on the planet, the indigenous people there, what they don't tell you, there's a lot of domestic violence amongst them at high levels. This is kept on the down low. Yeah, so there is pain. There is bona fide pain of um, people who have conquered by other nations, and they don't really discuss these people. But they're there, they exist, and they're hurting. And that I have compassion about. Living at a place that is your um, ancestral home, and then you have another culture that's dominating it, and you have to navigate. So those people I have compassion for. Um, who are they? So again, going back to the Caribbean, you know, people get your genetics done. Check your lineage, and a lot of things is to mask over your identity. Living in a place that's dominated by another group, usually the Americas, by people of European ancestry, but embrace yourself, and Europe is going to fall. what we know of Europe today, when I say Europe, I really am specifying Western Europe, those nations that came to the Americas several hundred years ago. Those people in particular, I'm talking about. Um, it's changing and changing rapidly, and you're going to see that. Sorry, the power's going off. Wow, it's daylight now. Okay, wow, it's almost 6:45. Better get ready soon. Get get my butt up. Yeah, you have you have people who are hurting, and they're running away from their heritage. Face your fear, and I think it's the fear that is causing you the desire to want to be a big person. You know, I think that's how, like the people who are in the hip hop community, those performers. I think some of them, they want to be a big shot in America. They're running away from their identity, and it's like either be enslaved or enslave others, and they chose to harm others. That's what I think. You know, it's corrupt. Love yourself. Check your own history. Check your lineage. Do your DNA if you dare to. I did mine, and basically we are who we are, and rather than running and shame, explore your roots, the good and the bad, and learn from it. And learn from it. Learn how you got a last name. Last name. How did you get it? How did these things happen? Um, it'll develop you and use it as a tool for your personal success. And it make you feel better about yourself. Why try to disguise who you are? Why try to get these hair weaves? Try to look like something. Again, you looking like your oppressor. I mean, if you're with them, I mean, be who you are. Love you. That's all I'm saying. Love you. Check your lineage. Ask. I mean, it's just so. You just hear everyone wants to be an Indian, but Indians. you know, and you can learn from any culture. I like to embrace different food. I mean, food international, and I like trying out different food and things like that. It's a way of connecting with people. Um, yeah, so that's all that I have to really say. Yeah, all of a sudden it's getting very bright in the room. Um, that's my message today. So I discussed about the dream that I had. Basically, the dream was back in America in an office space, looked like a modern high-rise building to work in, packed with all different types of nationals, um, different age groups, and trying to find out how to get this location, that location, outlaws, got on a elevator, subway, and I would pop up in a new location slash portal, and I got into the temptation of eating these sandwiches, these grilled cheese sandwiches, looking type of sandwiches. It was fantastic, people. They say be careful what you eat in your dreams because it could be a trap. Yeah, all these things. But it happened. And so I just wanted to share what the significance of the dream was, what it means in today, my living in Africa, and why would I have a dream about America? It's like an old theme repeating itself. And what is the significance of these dreams or my past and about location and who I am in this world? Okay. And I talked about the uh, Carib Indians, Black Indians, and what identity is, and I was able to find a database online for free. Any national could get access to it, and those people who are living in French territories, that had slavery. You can check out an ancestor. They have their papers, their citizenship papers. They were issued last names, and how did some people get their last name? Some of it is very unique because it wasn't a French name, and I could only speculate that maybe the name that they got at the end of slavery was their biological father, and they may not have been a person, there might have been something else. Yeah, it's your history. Embrace your history, learn from it, and this is all a novel. This is a novel. Your life is a novel. And a novel's only interesting because it goes up and down, and it's about how people overcame their adversities. And it's entertainment, and it's something to learn from. Your history too. It's a novel, and it's about getting through to the next chapter. My living here in Africa, Rwanda specifically, is a new chapter in my novel, and I want to make the best out of it. I want to get into growing my own food. Maybe later on I can show the bags of, what do you got? I bought bags of soil, wood chips, and things like that to cultivate seedlings. I'm very proud of it. And I planted some stuff yesterday. So create your own world with with truth. Excuse me, my throat. Yeah, develop your own world and make truth out of what you have so you don't have to hide. Be you. Create something magical in your life. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, but it's all a part of the process. It's all a tapestry in your note that you're creating for you. Okay? Peace, love, and joy. Yeah, I've been on for, oh, wow, 145 minutes. Boy, that's a long one. Yeah, it's all good, and you are good. Treat yourself well and treat your neighbor well, and be honest with yourself and with others. Okay? That's Spirit Journey signing off, and thank you for the thumbs up. Enjoy your day and share your thoughts below. Thank you. Bye. He's trying to sign off. It won't come off. It froze. It won't go off. That's something. My thing won't go off. It froze. Let's see. It's still on. It's still going. It won't turn.